Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to give a couple of tips and tricks and the general approaches to image editing in Aftershot Pro version 3. I'll go with this shot that I took a couple of months ago of this baby baboon here on the slopes of Cable Mountain, Table Mountain rather. And I just want to show a couple of approaches on how to fix things and why I use cropping sometimes more than usual or more than people like to do it, just to enhance the image itself. So what I have to do now is, first of all, or what I want to start with is actually to see if I can make this a little bit more prominent. So the monkey, sorry, not the monkey, the baboon. Let's see if I can do something about the actual cropping. So yes, the overall approach, like rule of thirds, yada yada, that is a guideline. You don't have to stick like to these guidelines like 100%. If an image looks good, an image looks good. Yeah. It doesn't really help if you try to stick to these rules. This is your image, and if you feel like an image is better when you don't stick to the rules, that is what rules are for. They're made for breaking rules. Okay, so I can try to, yeah, this would look good, but I would also love to have the mother's kind of outline in here a little bit more, because if I would use it like this, you cannot tell what this gray or brownish mass of hair is over here. So if you can see the chin or the lower part of the chin, that helps. So I will probably go with a portrait kind of approach. Yeah? Having part of the baby monkey more like at the center towards the right line of the rule of thirds, but not totally on it, because it doesn't make sense in this image. And I think this for an image works rather well. If you hit, no, not fit, if you hit done now, you can get, this is what the image would look like later on. As I'm not working for towards a printable version of this image, the resolution doesn't really matter that much in this case. So I think this is a far better shot than the original one, just because I cropped it in portrait, and this enhances the impact that the baby monkey has on the overall image. What I'm doing right now is just your usual, or my usual approach to image editing. In this case, I had to enhance the colors a little bit. I shoot in neutral mode, neutral color mode on my camera, because I don't like how other settings like landscape or cinematic save their own interpretation of the colors into the raw, and then prevent me from maybe degrading colors a lot more than I would like to. Or that I would need to make the image look in a specific way. So I usually don't use those other setups or presets that you have on cameras. That depends on you. You can use, of course, whatever you like to. I'm not saying this is the best way of doing it, but for me it works the best way, because it gives me the most freedom when it comes to editing the images. This is just a simple approach, or my simple approach on enhancing the overall image before I go into specifics, which I haven't talked about in my videos recently. But I always wanted to do this. This is why I'm just speeding this up, so that you can see the overall approach that I took with the image and how it got where it is in the more important part of the video. So you can skip towards through the video towards that section. But and if you want to see how I go about editing images and processing the RAWs, there are a couple of videos out there where I explain my approach and why I do certain steps in a certain order in Aftershot Pro to get what I need or what I want the image to look like. if you have any questions about that, leave them in the comments. An especially good video on that is the very first beginner's video where I talk about why Aftershot Pro could be a good alternative for you when you're looking into raw processing, especially when you're a beginner and you don't want to spend a lot of money every month, like for the Adobe Photoshop and Lightroom tools. Yeah, thinking today is kind of a struggle for me, it seems. All right, so let's skip ahead to the actual important part and see how the enhancement and adjustment layers work in Aftershot Pro, because they're really, really important in a lot of cases when you're editing these images. And now what we can do is we can use the adjustment tools that we have. Yeah, we have a healing clone and blemish layer. We don't need that one. I want to add an adjust layer. So we can use layers here to change certain parts of the image. So I can basically erase this one by clicking on the bin here. So I have an adjust layer. I changed the brightness, so I renamed this. Opacity is the overall effect that this layer will have, and the layers can actually be seen here. You have the main layer, and then you have the brightness layer. So what I want to do is I want to actually increase the eyes of the baby baboon a little bit. And we have a couple of options for this. I will use the circle selector tool here. So I decrease the feathering and I decrease the size, decrease the feathering a little bit more, because I don't want to change a huge area, but yeah, that should do it, maybe a bit more. Yeah, let's try this first. And now these tools will respond for this layer depending on what you do in the basic adjustments here. So for instance, I could now try to increase the exposure that I have on the eyes here. And you can see how that effect works. This is obviously now all much too strong. I just want this to be a little bit brighter and not like shining. I'm not trying to create a horror movie image here. But for this one, I will actually decrease the shadows. Brighten up the shadows a little bit. Okay, let me copy this. So I can copy this, and then having this one, I can now move the same settings over to this area. And the feathering is still too strong. I don't like this, so I decrease the feathering because I don't want these parts of the eyes on the closer to the nose and to the jaw to be bright as well. So I went to 41. Let's start this in my hand. Let's actually get it to 35. 35 and 35. That just brings the eyes out a little bit more. Let me also try to increase the luminosity here. We have a more orange kind of color in these eyes, and I can actually get the eyes now to be a little bit more prominent. And easier to see. What I can also do, because the eyes are a little bit blurry, I think I don't know, maybe he moved the eyes, the pupils a little bit. So what I can do here is, here I can use actually my wavelet sharpen. To make the eyes stand out a little bit more. Let's use like a 40. Yeah, that looks okay. Okay, let's zoom out a little. First of all, I want to go back to the main layer, because and then turn off the editing tools here. Yeah, now these areas, it's a little bit too roundish. It's a little bit too strong. It looks a bit weird. So let's go back to the brightness. And change this. Maybe add some contrast. And I'll probably have to change the and I also want to change the circles again, because I still think they are a bit too big. Let's take a look at the yeah, I click on the selector tool down here so that I can actually see. And depending on the ring that you have the mouse cursor on, you can also use the mouse wheel to increase and decrease the size of the feather or the size of the inner circle, respectively. Because I do this now because I didn't like this very roundish effect that it had around the eyes of the. It looked like he was wearing some kind of weird makeup. I could also use a curve tool, like a polygon curve, or the brush tool. That works also quite well. But for the eyes, I think this is something that works quite well. And no matter how you change these, you always they always use the brightness and whatever settings you changed for that particular layer, just for a smaller area now. Let me increase the brightness, maybe actually choosing the fill light. So the fill light, that works a bit better, yes. 033. Let's give it a little bit more vibrancy. Maybe add some red and yellow. Add some luminosity to the red and yellow. which are parts in this of the eyes, of the pupils. And now let's take a look what it looks like. This is much better. I don't want to exaggerate it, but this already looks a lot better. I could also now go and say I want to brighten up everything in here, but let's see if I will be successful with it, because that could be a bit more tricky and a bit more time consuming, and I don't want this video to last for about an hour. So let me just show you quickly what that polygon tool looks like. So I add another adjustment layer. So this is now a blank layer, okay? Body, I call it body brightness, because this is how I want to change the brightness. This is what I want to change the brightness for the overall body width for that dark area. So what I could do is to go and say like, okay, it's a very convenient tool actually. Okay. What is it? Oh, come on. That was a little bit too much feathering. Okay, so now we have a feather here. Now I just will adjust that curve here. That didn't go too well. I want this one to be down here. You can edit as much as you like with this tool. So move this down here. Actually, move it down here and move this one further up. And then there's another weird one over here. Move this further down. So in this mode, if you want to zoom in and out, you just have to press the Control key, and then you can pretty much do whatever you like. I think this should cover it. I just want to move this one a little bit further in, because I don't want anything up here to be too bright. Okay, and then let's see if we can actually fix this a little bit. With a little bit less darkness. So let's go back to the shadows. I use for this one I will use the 4-tone wide curve shadow adjustment tool that sometimes works a bit nicer. Let's just increase it a lot. Let's see what that looks like, and then tone it down gradually. Maybe decrease this just a little bit and increase the feathering, because I don't want this to be I don't want this to be too bright. It's a bit struggling right now. it's still a bit too dark. Let's set it to 50. Okay, this could work. Let me check. Zoom out. Yeah, that is much better now. So yeah, as you can see, these layers are super helpful. If I would have tried to just increase the brightness here by not using these polygon tools or a circle selector, you increase everything in the image, and sometimes there is just this one part of the image because of a shadow or whatever that you want to have, that you need to be brighter, but then you have to select this area, choosing a layer, and then increasing the brightness there instead of in the overall image, like overexposing the rest that you don't want to be brighter. Yeah, so this is pretty much why these tools are so incredibly helpful. Yeah, and you can see that even um, even using the wavelet sharpen on the pupils helped a lot, because now your focus is drawn towards that glint in the eyes and everything, and makes the entire image look far better. And with as with everything in Aftershot Pro 3, these changes that you just made don't need to be saved. They're existing in a meta file, and you can pretty much reset everything and start from scratch if you want to. Yeah, this is non-destructive editing. So I think this is a brilliant tool for raw image editing, and a really good alternative to the more expensive and yes, more sophisticated in a way, um, Photoshop whole Adobe package, like Photoshop and Lightroom. Um, there are downsides to Lightroom as well, but this one here is definitely has its downside to some degree, like all software has. But I feel a lot more comfortable using Aftershot Pro compared to other tools. As I said before, like I tried Lumina 3D, the Lumina 3, sorry, not 3D, 3. I tried, in the meantime, tried Capture One, which is, and yeah, for me, the workflow here is what is essential, and the brilliant free plugins that you can download, like the wavelet denoise, which blows my mind every single time. Like I can have a very heavily noise affected, what I'm talking about here, a very noisy image. Sorry, it's Saturday. My brain is kind of fuzzy today. So yeah, the wavelet denoise works wonders for denoising images without losing a lot of image detail. Okay, I think that covers it for today. I don't want to keep you too long. I hope you got something out of it. If you did, like, subscribe, share, and hit that bell button. And hopefully see you soon. Leave comments if you have questions. Also leave them in the comment section. I'll try to get back to you as quickly as I can. And in the meantime, take your camera, take great photos, and share them if you like. Have a great weekend. It's Saturday for me, as I already said. And see you soon. Bye-bye.